Hey everyone. This is some more question and answers, and well, I appreciate the good questions that you're coming through here, and I think we're getting a good library of this, don't you? So I wanted to show you the certificate that you get from our school. How's that, Chris? Is that coming in pretty good?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. This is a detoxification specialist certificate, and it's a nice little certificate there. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Another one passed the test. Nobody fails the test. I mean, because I want to make sure you know what you're talking about. If you don't answer them right, I'm just going to help you with it till you really get it and know what you're doing. I think that's proper education. There's no fail to anybody. I think that's ridiculous. I think this is all about helping everybody to understand what they want to learn. Great comments again. I'm humbled and very thankful. So appreciate it. You're a good feed for me, and I hope I am for you. I want to address this one on Taylor's or Huntington's disease because Rio Girl 16. Honey, I did address this in other videos, but I'll be more than happy to do it again here because it doesn't matter where the deterioration is in the brain, if it's in the central nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, where the location is. The deterioration of the nervous system is the same as the deterioration of the liver and is the same as the deterioration of the kidneys. There's only one side of chemistry, generally speaking, and we'll keep it in generalities because you can get too alkaline. That's not good either. So you can definitely...
Skin disease.
And so... thanks. Yeah, someone was asking me about Lichen Planus, and it's like, I never heard of that before. It's like, what the heck is that? But so we were looking that up for you. But anyway, it doesn't matter the location. Deterioration of tissue, and particularly brain tissue, is definitely devastating at any level. When it breaks down the nervous system, whether it's the autonomic or central nervous system, serious repercussions, obviously, as a result of that. It's one thing to have a tumor and pain in a joint and losing a joint, but when the nervous system's down, it's not too good. I was reading you the case. I just got an email from her husband today how well this lady's walking around her house now that has MS, and I think he's a chiropractor, and he's doing very well at keeping her on this program, and they're doing very well. I haven't seen too many MS cases with or without brain lesions that you couldn't get them back into a state of health. I've never seen brain lesions that you couldn't repair. But again, time. This lady's putting in her time. This lady's doing the raw. This lady's been 7 months, and now she's walking. I think that's pretty good. 7 months, but 7 months seems like a long time. But really, when you look at nature, it's a thorough cure. And if she keeps going on, in a few more months, she'll have her life back, almost back to normal. And if it took her a year, if it takes you 1 year from a wheelchair to walking, that's not bad. Or even on a walker to nothing and just shuffling around. It's not bad, a year out of your life, and then you have your life back, and you've repaired. You've done more than just repair the damage. You fix the causative factors, because that's what we address, is the cause of things. And we all have to get on board with that, I think, to have a human race that isn't sucked dry monetarily, and a race that really is happier, you know. But Huntington's, very curable. All these things are very curable. That's why I give you some of these cases that you can look at. And I just got so many cases, it's not even funny. We could put clients here all day long. I've been leery of doing that on the YouTube, but we used to do it on the radio all the time. I have stacks and stacks of tapes because I ran a radio show for years. And so I always put my clients on and tell their story because Yeah, I can say it all day long, but when you actually talk to someone that's walked the walk in these extreme cases, it's really exciting to see what they've done and what they've accomplished. And I do have some TV interviews and stuff. I'd like to get them up, and I will as time goes on. You also, in the same question, asked me about hydrogen peroxide. Going back to Huntington's, what would you guys do? Help me with this one. You know it's a lymph system, right? You know the lymph systems is everywhere, head to toe. You know this is a neurological decay, ending with dementia. Motor skills are decreased. So you know you got to get up in that brain, right? But what do you got to get? What's up in that brain? A bunch of cells and two fluids? So this is the whole focus, is you've got to get that lymphatic system moving. Maybe they have tonsils and maybe they do not. When you have your tonsils and adenoids removed, this really exacerbates these type of problems, because then you're compromised. No one cuts out their septic tank in their yard and keeps using and flushing their toilet. So the growth of this. I just had a lady talk to me about her son, and he had to have his tonsils removed because they were real bad. But she had him on raw for probably 6 months before that, maybe even longer, to try to get them down, but they were so hardened. Been all his life, this kid had extreme mucus flows. I mean, kid's been up and down with healing crisis for 6 months to a year. But when they cut the tonsils out, there was absolutely no bleeding. They couldn't imagine that. And remember when I told you that when you're on raw fruits, particularly the fruit level, you can cut yourself, you're not going to bleed. You're that clean. You're that good. And this young man didn't bleed, and it's just amazing to see. And he'll probably grow his second set in there, and they'll be healthier, of course. So that's pretty cool to see that sort of thing. You're going to go with upper circulation. You're going to go with brain and nerve on this Huntington's case. You're going to hit that lymph system. You're going to hit the kidneys. You're going to hit the lymphatic system. You're going to go after the bowels. Remember, always the bowels. GI tract. So you're back to your Fab Four. You're always going to work on the kidneys. You're always going to work on the lymphatic system. You're always going to work on the GI tract. And you always want to work on the endocrine glands, because they control everything in the body. So doing those things. When you want to get up in the head, you want to use upper circ. That pushes blood, makes new vascular pathways to grow in the brain, puts hair on the head, blah, 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 blah. At the same time, you're going to remove the causative factors, which is the lymph system. You're going to start cleaning those acids out. But they can't go anywhere unless you fix the kidneys, unless you fix all these lymph nodes and everything down below. So go after that case. So you remember the diet. It's always fruits all day long, fruits, berries, and melons, and salads at night. I don't care how old they are, because dementia and Alzheimer's are not fun. You asked me the same question about hydrogen peroxide therapy. And I answered this in another video for you. There's so many videos, I probably understand why you didn't see this. But you know what? I don't use it. I told you I had a gallon in my refrigerator back there probably for 10 years. I don't go that route. You know, I don't know if I'm that opposed to it, but then you can really get burnt with that. You got to be careful, both sides of the pH norm. So I'm not opposed and I'm not unopposed, but I would say that I would only use them in extreme cases. I would say the average person, I wouldn't even get involved in it. You can really get burnt with that. So that'd be my thing on you then. So head off with that Huntington, sweetheart, and take care of it. Is this your parents or something? This question is a 49-year-old female, 5 foot 250, so you're overweight a little bit, honey. That of course, you know why. That's your adrenals. And she started gaining weight, and she never weighed over 125. She always looked real good. And now she's gaining a little weight. Well, it's your adrenals. You know, your kidneys go down in your adrenals, especially on diets, until you wake up to the raw. You'd had a partial hysterectomy to remove a 12-pound basketball-size fibroid. Woohoo! I remember that 303-pound ovarian cyst. Did you see that on TV? 303-pound ovarian cyst. They had to lay her lady on the side and had a dolly and laid that tumor on the dolly and cut it off of her. I can imagine ovarian cyst getting to be 303 pounds. But you know what? You don't move limp. You keep storing, keep storing, keep storing. Now, the key to this one is what you're saying now. My adrenals were a mess. You went to, what'd you do? Yeah, somebody told you that you had read your iris, said you had your adrenals. Well, that's obvious. There's no question. And then, of course, comes the adrenal, sits on top of the kidneys, and then here's your high blood pressure. So it's all right there for you. You fix your kidneys. You got to get into your adrenal glands. Now, when I say things like that, I mean with diet and herbs, because I don't consider anything out there curative. I like homeopathics. I mean, the good homeopathics. Because anybody good in their field. I just had a lady that just had a simple Swedish massage in a swanky hotel out in Colorado. They hurt her bad, bruised her, and she had chest pains and couldn't breathe, all kinds of serious problems from that. Chiropractor looked at her this morning and said she damaged her spleen. One has to be careful here, and you know, you can't force things. Especially a fluid that's miles long that's become anionic. Remember, anionic, coagulated, thickened, hardened. You can't squeeze that out of a person. And there's roughing and deep tissue work. You have to be careful. A lot of people are highly acidic and tissues just hanging by a thread in the first place. So one has to be careful and loving with people. You've been on Zoloft and stuff. So, you know, take a look at your parathyroid for depression, your adrenals for the anxieties there. That's your adrenals and kidneys. You're just seeing that. Of course, as you get older, not only are you going to gain weight, you're going to have your pain coming, your lymphatic systems, of course, is part of this, your knees, your hips. I mean, all these things can come in, fibromyalgia, fibrocystic breast, all these things, sweetheart, can come in here. So, and the emotions, of course, and that pulls you to things that make you feel good. So this is why the alcohol. So, Teresa, you'll be okay. You just get on your kidneys and adrenals. And again, I'm referring to herbs. Now, I do use the glandulars, as disgusting as it might sound to some of the Puritans. And you know what? I just, I don't know. I live in the now, and everything is karma, and everything is. But in a clinical setting where you have a lot of hurting people, and that sort of thing's going on irregardless, and I know supply and demand fits in that thinking as well, but I don't know what to say. Yeah, I threw that out there just as a side note about reptilians. You know, I knew a girl named Omnic. And Omnic, if I can get that right, tongue twister, and it's been 40 years. She was supposedly a Venusian. I walked into a 12-year-old girl that was passing, and her mother was informed that this Venusian woman would walk in, and she was explaining. She looked different totally, and she was explaining why that you can't see some of these planets that are inhabited because they're at different frequencies and wavelengths. And so she was explaining how that worked, and so she was pretty cool. But we have you know, for those that like the weird and wacky, there is a reptilian race that is a walk-in type of race that's trying to dominate. You will see some of your politicians that way have had cases where even Brenda ran into a walk-in that was a reptilian, and I mean, they tried to attack her. The golden light came around her, and but an aggressive race of dominance. But I mean, don't take that. You know, this is some side things. So for those that like the deeper stuff of life, for those that don't worry about it. You know, just get strong. The key is always be strong in yourself. Don't take anything from anyone. You know, I moved into a house one time that it was loaded with entities. I mean, the hair would go on the back of my neck, and they would always brush against me and harass me. But I learned how to protect myself on another level, and that's what you have to do. Is always be strong with your knowingness of who you are and whoever you call the supreme being.